It's time for a Benjamin Moore color review of Mascarpone AF-20. In this video, we're going to talk about not only this paint color, but also some handy color pairing options that you can combine it with to put together an awesome color palette for your home. It's time to crack the code on this paint color. Mascarpone is part of the Affinity color collection by Benjamin Moore, and that's why it has that AF in its color code. I am a big fan of the Affinity color collection because of how they were all put together and designed. If you've ever seen all of the Affinity color chips at your local Benjamin Moore paint store, you could try this next time you're there actually. Just grab any two color swatches and hold them side by side, and I bet you they'll look awesome together. Matter of fact, you could probably do one better and grab some mighty boards, paint those, and then you'll have a couple of monumental sized color swatches to look at. Mighty boards are paintable tester boards that are awesome and super useful tools that I encourage anyone to use during the color selection process. I'll be sure to leave their information down below if you want to pick some up. Now, in terms of paint color analysis, one of the very first things I like to investigate about a color is its LRV, which is an acronym that stands for light reflectance value. This number is a measurement that expresses the percentage of light reflected from a surface, and it can range from 0 to 100, 100 being pure white and 0 being absolute black. I'm pretty sure you can guess what end of the spectrum Mascarpone lands on. Although it's not necessarily a pure white, and not many paint colors are, we can see that it's pretty bright with an LRV of 89. That's definitely bright enough to be classified as a white, or at the very least, a very light off-white paint color. And what makes it off is its warm, creamy yellow tint. It definitely has a warm, milky quality, not like some of the other warmer off-whites that exist. Some of the more prominent interior uses of this color would be on trim and cabinets, especially for the people out there that gravitate towards warmer colors in general. It's more of a pure cream color compared to something like cloud white or even white dove, which tend to have a touch more of a toned down gray in the deep background. Mascarpone, not a lot of gray happening here. It's just pure, delicious mascarpone creaminess. So if you like your creams pure, then mascarpone is a solid and delicious choice, if I do say so myself. Here's the thing though, even though this color is quite warm and pleasant, it's still beholden to your personal decor, flooring, and your lighting. I've even heard some people talk about mascarpone looking a tiny bit green sometimes, which can happen with yellow undertones in many colors. The only way to know if it'll look like that in your home is to, again, test it out, mighty boards. But there's also an awesome new feature on the Benjamin Moore website that I want to bring to your attention because I'm insanely excited about it. There's a virtual representation of different lighting conditions that are simulated for any color that you want, including mascarpone. So you can just click through morning, afternoon, ambient, and evening lighting to observe how the color will change based on those different lighting conditions. As incredible as this is, it's still a simulation at the end of the day, so just take it with a grain of salt. But it's still a pretty awesome thing to look at. You'll also notice that the simulation has mascarpone all over the walls as well, and you can definitely use it in that capacity. Just be aware that colors this light, when given a ton of light, will be extremely bright and can sometimes wash away any visible undertones. Now, let's get into some color pairings that I've selected for mascarpone, including a light, a medium, a dark, and a white option, just to give you some ideas on your overall color palette. You can use these colors in any combination, really, and they don't even need to be in paint form exclusively. You can easily pick some of these colors and implement them in the form of your furniture, fabrics, and flooring. The light color pairing here is Silver Satin, which is one of my favorite off-white paint colors to use on walls. It's a light silvery color with an LRV of 74.9, and I almost equate it to the slightly crisp gray version of classic gray. It's an extremely easy color to use and will help accentuate the yellow warmth in mascarpone. It's an extremely soft color pairing though, so although there's enough of a difference in LRV to give you some contrast of depth, it's not a huge contrast. Just a little one. Silver Satin is just so satisfying to use because you can really use it anywhere, and I would see it being a great wall color, while mascarpone could become a bright accent color on a fireplace mantle or on built-ins, for example. We continue this soft, neutral gray trend with our mid-tone color, London Fog. This color has more richness, being a mid-tone with an LRV of 56.4, and because of that added depth, you do see more apparent color depth as well. You could classify it as a light taupe because of its combination of gray and brown, so it has that earthy quality to it that I really enjoy in my colors. There are certain situations where the brown can lean a tiny bit greeny, but there's enough red as well to help balance out the undertones quite well. Another no-brainer color pairing here, which is a very much darker alternative to the previously mentioned silver satin. For the dark color pairing, this one is not only the most saturated color, but it also has the most prominent color hue in blue. It's called Blue Spruce, named after one of my favorite trees, and its LRV is just under 17. It's obviously the darkest color on this list, but it isn't necessarily an ultra deep color, giving it some added flexibility. It's a combination mainly of blue and a hint of green and some gray to tone everything down ever so slightly. Next to Mascarpone, the blue will feel even more rich, and I really like this color in a nearby room rather than in the exact same space as Mascarpone, but it can easily be done. It's just a little trickier because of how different they are. As for the white paint color in this color palette, you could argue that Mascarpone would be the white in question, but I wanted something that would differentiate itself a little bit more, and the only one I could really look at was Chantilly Lace. Chantilly Lace is a bit lighter, and it also has a clear lack of the yellow creaminess found in Mascarpone, making it a much more stark white. Next to one another, you won't necessarily see much of a difference, but it's there, and Chantilly Lace will just pop off a bit more as a trim and woodwork color next to all the other ones. If you want to know a little bit more about this color, we tell you all about it here in our review of it. It's a color that sometimes gets a bit of flack from me.